Welcome to class tonight. Tonight we're going to start off class by playing with some what we're going to call cubic units. That's these things right here. Now they look like little cubes, but when we're talking about volume, which is coincidentally what we're going to be dealing with tonight, we're going to be using cubic units to help us find the volume of a figure. So I'm just going to very quickly make a figure out of these, and it's probably going to be a pretty poor looking figure, I understand, but put these over there. Alright, and look at that. Kind of fit everything in place, and that is pretty close to what a cube would look like, a three-dimensional cube would look like. And so I used 8 cubic units. 8 cubic units. And so the volume of this shape is going to be 8. Okay, so volume is going to equal 8 in this case. So that is the basis. That's the starting point for for the rest of our discussion. Now we're going to be specifically talking through and learning about how to find the volume of rectangular prisms and then cylinders. Now you see a good example of a rectangular prism there on the board. Now the book on page 472 goes into great explanation about how to find the volume and how to use cubic units and all that. Tonight we're just going to focus on using and understanding the formulas. Okay? So let's get started. Our formula for finding the volume of really almost any shape is going to be V equals B times H. Now B, H is the height, and B equals the area of the base. Okay, you see base, B. So the capital B is the area of the base. Now in this case, our base is a rectangle. Okay? It's a rectangle. And so we're going to use the area of a rectangle to find the area of the base of this shape. So we're going to use volume equals base times height. Now it translates to this right here, where we have length times height, length times width times height. Now I know I mixed these numbers up, but we're okay. So the length is going to be 20. Well, technically the width is going to be 12, and the height is going to be 10, but all works out to be the same. And when we multiply all those together, we get 2,400. Now, this is also key, as I said at the very beginning, cubic units. This little 3 right there, that means cubic units. So on all your answers for volume, you should have cubic units right there. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this now and probably say it a little bit later. You need to use a calculator for these types of problems. You're going to be multiplying a lot of scary numbers. So use a calculator. All right, so that is the basics. Now let's go ahead and put it into practice. Now you see here I have the exact same formula. V equals B times H, where B equals length times width. So I'm going to go look over here at my rectangular prism, and I'm going to say, all right, so my base is going to be 8 times 7, my length times my width, and then I'm going to multiply it by my height. So it's going to be V equals length times width times height. So it's going to be V equals 8 times 7 times 10. Now in this case, when I multiply all those together, I'm going to get 560. You can use a calculator to double check. And then once again, my last thing I'm going to do is inches cubed, or cubic inches. And so my answer for the first one is my volume is going to be 560 cubic units, because all I did is multiply the length times the width times the height. So that, ladies and gentlemen, very simply is how to find the volume of a rectangular prism. All right, now let's move into finding the volume of a cylinder. Now this is going to be somewhat different, although in many respects it's going to be very similar. You actually see at the very top, you see the exact same formula right there as you saw for the volume of a rectangular prism. Now there's going to be some changes with this. Where last time the area of the base, remember that's the capital B, the area of the base meant length times width. This time we're going to use B is the area of a circle, because a circle is the base of a cylinder. So in this case, when we're finding the volume of a cylinder, we are going to use the volume, or the area of a circle formula. This is what you should remember. So pi times the radius squared. Now with this one, you also see it down here, you have to use a calculator. You have to, or you're going to get some really messed up answers. So my formula then, transmitting everything, my formula for the volume of a cylinder is going to look like this. Pi times radius squared times the height. Well, now my radius is going to be 1.4 inches, and my height is going to be 6 inches. So you see I went ahead and put that in there in the second one. So now you can go ahead and get your calculator out. You want ahead and, if you want to go ahead and multiply those numbers, 1.4 squared times pi is going to be 6.158, and then a bunch of other numbers. We're going to round just to the thousandth place, and then multiply it by 6. Once you multiply 6, so multiply those numbers together, you're going to go ahead and get this answer, and I rounded it to 36 9/10 inches, and that should be cubed right there. Okay, so that actually should be cubed. Sorry about that. Now I'm going to emphasize this once again. Make sure you use a calculator. If you don't, I can almost guarantee you're going to get this is going to be much more difficult than it needs to be. Now let's go ahead and practice one. Now this is going to be very similar. We're going to use the exact same formula as before. So our formula: V equals base times the height, or the area of the base times the height, where the area of the base is going to be pi r squared. So it's going to look like this: V equals pi r squared times the height. So my V equals, my radius is going to be 4, so pi times 4 squared times 9. Okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and pull up my calculator. So 4 times 4 is going to equal 16. Hopefully you already knew that. And then I'm going to multiply that by 3.14, and I'm going to get 50.24. So, okay, so you see how I solved the area of the circle first, and now I'm going to multiply it by my height. So pull my calculator back and multiply that times 9 equals, and look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I do want to emphasize, round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so in this case, tenth is just going to be 452.2, or 452 2/10. So my volume is going to equal 452 2/10. Now remember, our units are always cubed, so it's going to be inches cubed. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that is my answer. You see how I had to use a calculator to solve that out. I do strongly encourage you to do so. Well, that is your lesson tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, volume is going to be, the volume is defining the space inside a three-dimensional figure. Also remember, the basic formula is volume equals the area of the base times the height, where the area of base in a rectangular prism is going to be length times width, and the area of a circle is going to be pi r squared, pi times radius squared. So those are the basic things you've got to remember. All right, your homework tonight is page 474, 2 through 10 even. Once again, 474, 2 through 10 even. Have a wonderful night, and I will see you all tomorrow.